Do you want a minimalist training shoe but don't want to fork out hundreds of dollars? Then this video is for you as we introduce Airhosts, the newest Amazon budget barefoot shoe brand. They recently launched their store with 3 models, 1 casual and 2 sport, and today we're giving you our likes and dislikes of the sport models to let you know if they can hang with the likes of Vivo and Zero for a fraction of the price. These babies only cost $36. As always, there's timestamps down in the description, but I'm going to send it over to my brother Chris now to start us off with the first shoe.
I'm going to be going over just the knit model today. Eric will cover the TPU model. So getting into the knit sports Airhosts shoe, the first thing I want to mention is that these shoes have a deceptively nice toe box. Now, they have a casual model that they sent us. We're going to review that by itself later. It has a wider toe box overall, which is very nice. But what we want to say about this is even though it's kind of pointy shaped and looks narrow at first glance, something I was really concerned about when I unboxed this shoe, it's actually plenty wide if you have a normally sloped foot. So if your pinky toe is lower than your big toe is, then you're going to have plenty of space from the widest point on each side in order to have a good toe splay in that toe box. So what I would say is don't be dismayed by how it looks. It looks narrow. It is not the narrowest barefoot shoe that we have worked with so far. Would I like wider and a little bit more of an actual foot shape to it? Absolutely. But it is functionally barefoot from a toe box perspective. Moving on to my next like, I love the mesh upper on this guy. If we were doing a toe-to-toe between this and the model that Eric is going to be talking about, I'd give the win to this guy because I love how breathable and stretchy and comfortable that mesh upper is, especially for what this shoe is made for, which is athletic endeavors. It's going to be great for lifting. It's going to be great for running. It's just overall a good material for sport. Very similar to the Teardrop Zero knit with the laces on the top. They have a very similar feel to them. The only difference is this shoe is $150 and this guy is only $36. I may do a toe-to-toe at some point in order to really get to the bottom of the difference between these two, but big fan of that knit upper. The last thing I want to talk about is I think it has a pretty good versatile stack height setup. So we do have a 5.5mm base stack height for just the outsole. Then we have a 5.5mm insole that goes in this guy. Not a huge fan of the insoles. I'll talk about that in my dislikes, but I love that I can go from a really good lifting stack height at 5.5mm to a really solid running stack height of 11mm. That makes this thing very well rounded in what I'm going to use it for. One of my favorite running shoes is the Bahe Revive, and that is a 10mm overall stack height. One of my favorite lifting shoes on the market is actually Splay's offering. And their original shoes, before we started coming out with the 2.0 versions, were all 5mm stack heights. So I found that that has been very nice for lifting. This guy can fluctuate between those two, depending on if you decide to use the insole or not. It is worth mentioning to me, one of the coolest features that I see in this shoe, given its price point, is the fact that they decided to completely finish the footbed. So if you take that insole out, the inside of the shoe is very nicely finished so that nothing in there is going to bother your foot while you're working with it without the insole in. Getting into my dislikes of the knit model, the first thing I want to mention is something that's going to be similar with the TPU model, and that's that I don't love the pointed shape. I want a shoe to be foot shaped. Now, I know I talked about in my likes how the shoe technically fits my foot shape and does functionally work barefoot. It totally does, but the pointed shape of the shoe can also be a tripping hazard. I find that pointed shoes tend to go a little bit longer than their more tapered counterparts. Bringing on the Drop Zero again for a little bit of comparison, if I line the heels up perfectly, you'll notice that this guy is a little bit longer than the Drop Zero. So if I'm going up steps, if I'm doing step ups, if I'm going up a curb on a run or something, that's a tripping hazard. I've got other more pointed shoes that have tripped me in the past because of their pointed shape. I would love to not only see just the toe box tapered a little less aggressively to make it overall wider, but generally more foot-shaped. Shoes are just more comfortable when they're less pointed. The next dislike that I have comes at the heel area here. If I peel this guy back, you'll notice there's kind of this big padded guy that completely surrounds and cups your heel. it is excessive in my opinion. I know that most shoes, even the Drop Zero, bringing that up again, you can see a little band of a pad back there for the heel, and that's fine. It's very minimal, almost not noticeable. This is like a pillow strapped to your heel. So I would love to see that either toned down or removed completely. I think that would improve the overall feel of the shoe. It feels like that pad is like excessively shoving my foot forward in the shoe, which obviously is a feeling that nobody is going to like. Getting into my final opinion of the knit Air Hoss Sports model, I actually really like this shoe, especially for being a budget Amazon model, coming in at that $36 price point. It's pretty impressive what they've done between the super comfortable mesh knit upper and the completely finished footbed. Those are features that you typically see in higher end models that are pushing more towards, and a lot of the time over, $100, again, like the Teardrop Zero at $150. Fantastic shoe that I absolutely love, and I really think that these deserve a toe-to-toe. But if you're wanting to get Teardrop Zero but balling on a budget, the $36 Air Hoss knit mesh upper version might not be a bad way to go. Are you looking to take your barefoot shoe experience to another level? Then you're going to need a solid pair of toe socks that lets you take advantage of all that toe box. We love Creeper's Toe Socks, a sock that beat out 6 other toe sock brands in a comparison video we did that you can see through the card up in the corner. Whether it's cold or hot, whether you're hiking, running, or lounging, Creeper's Toe Socks will ensure that your feet stay comfy, dry, and healthy. If you're interested in checking out Creepers, head down to the link in the description and use our discount code to save yourself 15% off at checkout.
Okay, for my likes of the Air Hoss Sport model shoe, I'm talking about the TPU one. So you can see it's a little bit different than the one that Chris has, which is a knit. This one has a bunch of TPU layering all over the shoe, and so we think this one's meant to be much more of like a runner as well as a gym shoe. And the first thing that I like about it is that for the price point that it's coming in at, it actually feels built really well and pretty durable. So when you compare it to something like the Saguaros that we've gotten or the What Elves that we had, this one feels a lot better, and it's coming in around the same price point, which is pretty low, and it's a great entry point for people who can't afford the more expensive barefoot shoe models out there, which are plentiful. We definitely need more companies like Air Hoss and more shoes like these ones in the market. So we're happy with this one, the way that it's priced and the way that it's built. I think it hits most of the barefoot marks. It is zero drop. The sole is flexible and very thin, and then there's the toe box, which is not the widest of all toe boxes when it comes to our barefoot shoes that we've had, but it actually works for my foot really well. It is definitely shaped like a foot, and that's what I appreciate. And my feet are the widest at the base of my toes right here, and this shoe seems to be widest at that point as well. So that's why I say it works really well for my feet. It might not work for everybody's, but it is definitely better than what's on the market for the most part as far as athletic shoes go. It's definitely wider, it's definitely shaped better, and I think that it'll please a lot of people. And then I think that it fulfills its purpose really well. I've gone running in it, and it does a great job as a barefoot running shoe. I can't take this thing on a ton of miles just because of how thin it is, but it's very light and it's very nice as far as getting a barefoot feel while you're running goes. And then it's nice to wear in the gym too. So I think that they built a really good athletic shoe here, and again, they built it at a great price. Now, as far as my dislikes of the shoe go, the main one is the tongue of this one, and it tends to just bunch down towards the bottom of your foot the more and more that you wear it, and I haven't found a good way to get it to stay up. I've got the laces going through this part right here, but it doesn't seem to really have helped much. So that tongue does slide down your foot. It's not uncomfortable, but it is something that I notice while I'm wearing it. Again, with the toe box, it fits me, but I don't think that it's going to fit like the biggest barefoot enthusiasts out there, the people that have really, really wide feet. This one probably isn't going to be for you, unfortunately, but again, it is wider than most of the athletic shoes that are on the market right now. So that is something to take into consideration with your feet while you're looking at this thing. And then the last thing that I'll say is when you compare it to the knit model, this one is a bit stiffer with those TPU overlays that are on here. It just doesn't flex as well as the knit one does. And that's another thing to consider while you're looking at these things. This one might be a little bit more durable because of these TPU layers than the knit one. But the knit one is going to be a little bit more comfortable, and it's going to be a little bit more flexible for you. So as far as our final opinion of the Air Haas shoes go, we actually really like them, especially for the price point that they're coming in at. I think that they provide a lot of value. For anybody who's on a budget and wanting to get into barefoot shoes and you want an athletic shoe, either this or the knit model are going to do a pretty good job for you.
Folks, if you like this video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. All those things really help the channel out. If you're interested in any of the products that we talked about in this video, there will be links to them down in the description. If we have discount codes for any of those companies, they will be featured with the links. If you want to get more content from us, there are 3 different places you can get it. The first one is Patreon, where for $1 a month, you can get exclusive behind-the-scenes content we don't post anywhere else. If you want to be most up to date with what we are working on, make sure to follow us on Instagram, where we are constantly posting unboxing videos. Go follow us on Strava if you're interested in seeing mini reviews in real time of the products we're using and what we're using them for. Strava allows you to track and post about your different activities. We track and post about our runs, trail runs, hikes, paddleboarding, and weightlifting, and we do little mini reviews on the products we're using during those activities. Go follow us there, and we will follow you back. We appreciate your view, and as always, we will catch you in the mountains.